Hey everyone, and welcome to our Q&A presented by Just Love. My name is Paula Jane and I'm talking to Judy Carroll. Judy is an internationally known author. Her books include The Zeta Message, Human by Day, Zeta by Night, Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth, Lessons in History, and her two most recent books, both Kindle editions, An Interview with an Alien, Comments by an Undercover ET, and Cosmic Spirituality, Blending Religion and Science in Oneness from an Off-Planet Perspective. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Paula. Hi, everyone.
In our last episode, Judy, you provided some very interesting information on the Roswell crash back in 1947. We were talking about how when the first ship crashed, another crew came to their rescue but also crashed. Some on that ship were blue-grey Arcturians, which are Zeta Arcturian hybrids. They can either have 3 or 4 fingers on each hand because they have a retractable thumb plus 3 fingers.
Yes, Paula. Some researchers down here claim that all greys look the same, but this only applies with the ones using artificial bodies, or containers as they call them. With the greys, there's actually many variations in appearance, and many are hybrids, with genetic input from other star cultures such as Arcturian, Pleiadian, Sirian, etc. The blue-grey Arcturians are a good example, with their different skin colour and retractable thumb. So yes, they can have either 3 or 4 fingers.
So you also talked about how in an original book on this subject entitled Alien Interview, presented by editor-author Lawrence Spencer, the ET character is claimed to be a survivor of this crash. The crew of the main ship involved were what researchers down here call Zetas from the Zeta reticular star system. You went on to explain that there are a number of different cultures living in that system, including some Zeta Earth human hybrids. So yes, the crew could have been made up of several slightly different looking ones.
Yes, there are about 50 different cultures in the Zeta Reticuli star system alone, and the human insectoid form is universal, so there's quite a variety in appearance, height, skin colour, etc. And again, many are hybrids. Some do have grey-coloured skin, but they can also be white, blue or tan in colour. And some have Earth-human genetics in their makeup. Out there in the universe is just like down here, only on a grander scale. Here on Earth it's quite unusual to find someone who is absolutely pure English, French, American, Australian or whatever. Most of us have a variety of different cultures in our family line, going back over generations. This has also happened on a universal level. Also, out there they operate much more in oneness, so there's not the snobbery or elitist racist factor that applies with some cultures down here.
Yeah. So you said that there were 3 reasons for the crash. The third reason was a bit more personal to the Zetas, going back to an even earlier version of life where they'd had incarnations as the ant people. At that time, eons ago, their culture was almost decimated by the Repterrans, along with another hybrid culture known as the Anunnaki, which the Zetas referred to as the Blondes. These are the same ones still here in the inner earth who inspired Hitler's Aryan ideal, along with the selective breeding program and the ethnic cleansing that was part and parcel of the whole Nazi master race plan. The Zetas could not stand back and see a repeat of all this crazy xenophobia that these ones had carried out on them and from which they're still recovering today. This is the reason why those ones down here who are operating through a dual Zeta Grey Earth human consciousness have trouble with so much of the UFO so-called research that goes on now, with its high level of cosmic racism. You said that you would talk more about the history of the Greys in this episode.
Yes, Paula, there are 3 levels or groups of so-called greys, and they span the whole universal human ladder, which is the cycle of human evolution from physical to angelic.
Would you include yourself in there as you are a dual soul living on Earth, which is level 1 on the human ladder, and also as a Lorca, your grey self who resides further up on the human ladder? I guess my question is, because you are a dual soul living your life out on planet Earth, so is your grey energy anchored onto the Earth plane?
Yeah, as a dual soul consciousness, I do live a double life. The Earth-human part of me is anchored here on Earth, whereas the grey part leaves the Earth-human body at night and goes off to work up on the ships. New Zealand author Susie Hansen, who is also a dual soul, talks about this in her book, The Dual Soul Connection, The Alien Agenda for Human Advancement. This is a brilliant book with comments and footnotes by retired astrophysicist Dr. Rudy Child, formerly of the Harvard-Smithsonian Centre for Astrophysics. In both our cases, we've chosen this duality in order to fully experience lives down here as Earth humans, to help us understand more deeply what it's like to actually be an Earth human, and what is required to assist Earth plane humanity to evolve along with their planet, which is in the process of shifting from fourth to fifth world consciousness. It's very similar to an Earth plane anthropologist going off to live amongst a primitive tribal society as one of them in order to study them firsthand and provide assistance if required, and also to learn from them. Earth plane humanity is very much becoming an endangered species, as happened with us. And our mission here is to try to prevent this from happening. This is the reason behind our hybrid program and its associated collection of genetic material from Earth humans. Some of the greys working with Earth plane humanity have evolved from many different star systems and have moved past the need for physical form.
When you say some of the greys have evolved from many star systems and have moved past the need for physical form, can you tell us what other star groups are involved?
Oh, there are Pleiadians, Andromedans, Sirians, Mantids, plus many more.
Okay. Are they all working in unison, or the greys leading the way?
They're all working together, but ones such as the tall greys and the mantids are directing the program, as they're the universal experts in evolution, DNA, and the genetics involved in this type of work.
Okay, so getting back to the fact that in the greater reality, we are all pure energy and how that plays out.
Gross physicality only occurs on the lower rungs of the human ladder. In the greater reality, we are all pure energy forms, soul consciousnesses that are choosing to experience physicality for the span of lifetimes. As we evolve to higher frequencies of universal energy, we move past the need to experience physicality. However, all higher universal creator-type beings who are carrying out work with physical planetary cultures such as humans of Earth have to put themselves into a body, or what they term a soul container, to enable them to interact down here.
So you're referring to abductions here by the high universal creator-type beings who are carrying out work on us humans, such as upgrading our DNA, removing implants, and generally bringing us up to date with the planetary shift.
Yes, but such contacts are not abduction, although many people think they are. In actual fact, the so-called abductees have made a pre-birth request to undergo this off-planet contact in order to have their DNA upgraded, to have implants removed that have been put in by a negative group down here, and generally to assist the ascension process of humanity. I'm not denying that there are negative and unpleasant abductions happening, but these are a minority, often experienced by those with a military connection. They're instigated and faked from right here on Earth and are known as MILABs, which is an acronym for military abductions. However, the majority of contact is genuine and positive.
And the off-planet people doing this often put themselves into grey-type soul containers to enable them to interact down here.
Yes, that's right. It's exactly the same as how our astronauts have to wear a special suit when they leave Earth's atmosphere. The preferred container for off-planet people is modelled on the insectoid Zeta reticulum form, which can withstand space travel and higher G-forces, being a much stronger, simpler and less vulnerable than a biological human body.
Can you give us some examples?
Yes, examples of different planetary cultures manifesting down here in grey containers are Sherry Wiles' teacher Dar, who identifies himself as Andromedan, Valerie Barrow's Pleiadians, who are illustrated in their grey containers in her Alturinga book, and Adrian de Vere's ET healer friend X3, who was introduced in his book Healing Entities and Aliens, is identified as a Syrian and shown as a grey.
And all these are depicted as grey-type beings.
Yes. Humans of Earth have created God and the angels in their own image, modelled after the Aryan ideal of tall, blonde, blue-eyed perfection. But this is a myth. Higher beings prefer to use the grey type form to carry out work on planets such as Earth. These beings can tap into the image that Earth humans have in their minds of what an angel should look like and can show themselves that way, but when work is involved, the grey form is more practical.
Okay, interesting. So can you talk to us now about the different levels of greys?
Yes, Paula, as I just mentioned, the first group of greys can potentially be from any higher universal culture right up to angels.
Is your teacher Maris an example of this?
Yeah, Maris is up much higher on the human ladder at level 8. He's a mantid Zeta hybrid, so is one of the tall greys. He's not connected with any planet as such, being beyond the need for physicality, so he works mainly on the ships. The second group, who are a bit lower down the human ladder and therefore still operating through physical form, are the Zetas, based in the Reticulan or Zeta Reticulan star system.
And Alorca is an example here.
Yes, she was a Zeta Arcturian hybrid, a blue-grey Arcturian. As for the Zeta star system, there are around 30 different cultures, and all are insectoid humans as opposed to the mammalian-based humans of Earth. The greys who were involved in the Roswell incident were Zetas or Zeta hybrids. The third group of greys are the ones known as the ant people. All greys are evolved from insectoids, generally ants or mantises. They are human, but I use the term grey to differentiate them from mammalian humans. Human form has been developed from many different species in the universe.
And when you say that the ant people were human, can you tell us what they looked like?
Okay, the ant people were a very early Earth-human species created by higher insectoid ant and mantid creator beings who were one of the groups responsible for seeding human life on Earth. They started off more insect-like with antennas on their heads and several sets of legs, but evolved into a more human-looking appearance over millions of years. This path of evolution could be compared to the very earliest Earth humans, who closely resembled the primate species out of which they were genetically engineered. So they had much more hair on their bodies, a lower brow, broader nostrils, etc.
And did the ant people live on the Earth?
Yes, they did. They mainly lived underground, and being insectoids, they were responsible for developing and maintaining ecosystems and creating biodiversity on the planet.
So we're going back many millennia here.
We sure are, especially to the first ones. They worked hand in hand with nature, spirit, elemental energy, and had advanced technology and genetics passed down to them from the creator beings, which enabled them to do this type of work. The ant people of Earth bred very freely and ended up overpopulating the planet. They also started experimenting with genetic technology, which outpaced their level of spirituality. Warring between two separate groups occurred, with a situation arising that was a carbon copy of the present-day Earth-human situation. They ended up causing a cataclysm which almost destroyed them. This left a deep emotional trauma within the collective consciousness of the group, who were supposed to be here as caretakers and gardeners of the Earth, but who went so far as to destroy an entire planetary environment with their uncontrolled emotion and technology. In remorse, they set about removing emotion from their collective psyche, but went too far, becoming almost robotic. This trauma has been held within the grey soul group to this day, but is now being healed through the genetic exchange program with present-day Earth humans.
Wow, that's so interesting to see the parallels with what's happening on present-day Earth. And so interesting when you see that this is all meant to be for the evolution of everything, humans, other planetary cultures, and Mother Earth.
Oh, sure, it sure is. Millennia passed, but the lesson hadn't been learnt at that stage, and overpopulation began again. By this time, another genesis event had occurred, that of the Repterrans, an Earth-human culture developed by draconian creator beings out of a biped dinosaur species.
And so what happened then with this other genesis event in the picture?
War broke out between the insectoid humans of Earth and the reptoid humans of Earth over control of the planet. The ant people had been here first, but the Repterrans were more aggressive, so they won, driving most of the ant people off planet.
Where did they go?
Higher creator beings stepped in to assist them to resettle on the moon.
And did all of them resettle on the moon?
Most did, but some remained on Earth, hidden in deep underground caves and tunnels, and badly oppressed by both the Repterrans and also by another group known as the Anunnaki. These ones carried out an ethnic cleansing program on the ant people, causing them to lose their ability to reproduce. Others were captured and interfered with genetically by being forced to crossbreed with the Repterrans. The resulting insectoid-reptoid hybrids were then cloned and fitted with implants to control them. Thus they became bio-robots with no free will of their own.
What eventually happened to them?
These are the ones still in existence today that Dr. Steven Greer refers to as PLFs, which is an acronym for Programmed Life Forms. The Repterran and Anunnaki controllers still continue to produce these beings using genetic material taken from genuine Zeta bodies retrieved by the military from crashed ships.
So did any of the original ant people survive?
Yeah, the ant people who did manage to survive and avoid this fate are still recalled in the folklore of many indigenous people. One of the Native American cultures referred to them as the Moon People, and were aware of them coming out at night to carry on with their work of caretaking the ecosystems of the planet. They also taught the Hopi people how to build homes in caves. Most have now evolved to higher existences. Many of the present-day Zetas are ex-Earth humans from this group who still carry a memory of a terrible war long ago in their past when they were attacked and almost decimated by the reptoids and the blondes. When the ant people lost their ability to reproduce biologically, they created the non-biological containers based on their biological forms to enable them to continue to experience life on Earth and to interact with the physical environment. These containers have since been improved, enabling any higher off-planet being to make use of them as sort of spacesuits. This concept of human consciousness being able to place itself into such a container was illustrated very well in the Avatar movie.
So where are they? So where are we now with all of this? Who are the ant people now and where are they?
Okay, this is what the hybrid program being carried out on Earth now by the Zetas and other higher greys is all about. It's to assist both present-day Earth humans and the remaining ant people who suffered at the hands of the Repterrans. Some are still down here, still being used by the Repterrans in their faked abductions to cause people to hate and fear the genuine greys.
And Judy, you were one of these ant people down here on Earth, weren't you? And you have memories of this.
Yes, I was, around 900,000 years ago here in Australia. The ant people of Earth are the mutated Earth-human species that Bashar refers to as needing help. The higher evolved greys, some of whom have evolved from this group, can clearly see present-day Earth humans heading down the same path. So the hybrid program is designed to help both groups to heal and balance. The mutation doesn't refer to their appearance, but rather the fact that they lost their ability to reproduce naturally and to experience emotion. They look the way they do because they're insectoids, they're not mammalian.
Can you tell us more about the hybrid program?
Yes, it's designed to help Earth humans to balance their level of technological development with higher spiritual development, and will also help to humanise the bioengineered ant people who lost their ability to experience and understand emotion and to reproduce naturally because of the mutation that occurred at the hands of the Repterrans.
And how's all of this going?
Well, unfortunately, the Repterrans are still incarnating down here and still controlling the mutated ant people, which are used in the military abductions and are often mistaken for genuine Zetas, that people think of as greys. This deception is encouraged by disinformation agents who often attend UFO research groups and pretend to be genuine contactees.
Wow, can you give us an example of this?
Wow, this is actually a long story in itself, so I'll leave it until our next episode. So much trickery and deception has gone on for so long, all aimed at demonising the genuine Greys who are only here to heal both their own people and humans of Earth. As for the genuine hybrid program, a very extensive survey carried out some years ago by an organisation of which Dr. Edgar Mitchell was the patron showed that the vast majority of ET contact is highly positive and with a long list of benefits for humanity. These include a greater respect and caring for the environment, less fear of death, more able to express unconditional love, a yearning for peace as opposed to war, and a much deeper understanding of spirituality as opposed to religion. From the Greys side, the Assassini Zetas that Bashar talks about, who have more ability to express emotion physically, are a product of the legitimate healing and humanising hybrid program. A level of balance is being brought about for both cultures. Unfortunately, people down here lump all the Greys together under one label, when in reality they span many cultures, from the almost robotic Earth plane manufactured and mutated PLFs, right up to highly evolved angelic-type beings who have evolved from many planetary cultures.
So the almost robotic Earth plane manufactured and mutated PLFs are not really Greys?
No, definitely not.
Wow, you did say last time that the history of the Greys is quite complex, and I can clearly see how much misunderstanding and disinformation has confused matters further. So if you want to read more about all of this, just to remind everybody, Judy's books are available from Amazon, or you can go directly through Judy's website, which is included in the link below. And if you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends and family and subscribe to this channel. Until next time, sending you all much love and thank you all for listening. Bye for now.